each other, for those of us in our news organizations, to make sure that when we send reporters out, now it's no longer carte blanche that you can go cover things. You have
Right.
to watch your back, because you yourself with a camera in your hand and a press badge around your neck, is really a target, as opposed to, someone who's just doing their job.
Absolutely right. We're joined by Stacey Brown, a veteran journalist of many years. Stacey and Denise, let me know when you have to bounce, if you have to bounce.
Okay.
Stacey, your open thoughts about this Don Lemon situation.
Well, that we were thinking that, and Georgia Fort was also arrested. Nakima Levy was arrested. We just played on Let It Be Known Georgia Fort's a video of her when the agents arrived at her house to arrest her. But we were hoping, obviously, that they wouldn't, if they didn't arrest Don Lemon, because it came out, a judge said no, you can't arrest him, last week or a week ago or wherever it was, and we felt like, okay, that has to apply to those journalists in Minneapolis, Georgia Fort, and the rest of them. Now taking Don Lemon into custody, it takes that cover that we felt that Georgia and others had. It took it away. Um, Obviously this is what it is, a direct assault on journalism, the free press, the First Amendment, and there is absolutely no one right now standing up, no one with power standing up to stop what has become, as I said this morning on Let It Be Known, the Twilight Zone. It's really become a situation where no one, when you think about going back in the history of this country, as bad as things have been for Black and brown people, Black people in particular, no one could have said, 5 years ago, even during Trump's first presidency,
Right.
that you could foresee all of this not only happening, but people co-signing it. A Department of Justice that, if you recall, Lauren and Denise, when they were investigating Donald Trump, his claim was that Biden's DOJ is being weaponized illegally. You can't use the DOJ like this. Well, this president is totally taking full control of the DOJ. He's taking full control of all government entities. Last night or yesterday, he announced that he was suing the United States government for $10 billion.
Right.
This someone, John Roberts, who will go down as having the worst Supreme Court, leading the worst Supreme Court in history. John Roberts can save himself, save a modicum of his totally tarnished reputation by stepping in, because those are the only ones who really can at this point step in. It's the Supreme Court, and we know that you got six of them in his back pocket.
Yep. Yep.
Now, the MAGA folks are starting to turn a little bit on Stephen Miller, who's the mastermind behind all that ails America right now.
Right.
But the ones in place, the ones that can do something about it, refuse to do anything about it.
Right.
So we are in a spot now where we can't even go out and report. Denise is here. Washington Informer is right there in the heart of everything. Washington Informer, I've said this not just because I contribute to the Washington Informer, have been for 13 years, but it is the best source of information there is when it comes to all media. I used to say black media, but all media, because you can't trust. CBS is under Donald Trump's control. MSNBC, NBC, MS Now, NBC is mostly under Donald Trump's control. CNN is under Donald Trump's control. Paramount, all of that is under Donald Trump's control. Washington Post is under Donald Trump's control. The only trusted source that you really have coming out of Washington is the Washington Informer. And so, having said that, I heard Denise just talk about now about not sending reporters. You can't just send them out anymore the way you used to.
Right.
I'm concerned about the Washington Informer now.
Well, I want to jump in, Stacey, because the institution itself, we are a for-profit business. All of those entities that you mentioned are for-profit businesses, right? And so that's how we stay alive. But the journalists, even if they work for us, they are journalists. I'm a journalist.
Right.
You know, even if the Washington Informer said, you know, maybe we shouldn't cover that, I cannot imagine a journalist like Don Lemon, who would say, oh no, this is my job. This is what I do.
Yes.
And so, you know, I see that, you know, the issue is, how do you protect those journalists in cases like this? You know, we don't have deep pockets. I'm glad that, I don't know what Don Lemon's going to have to pay his lawyers or
and he has a really good lawyer too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so, you know, it's causing us to have to really think twice. But the point is, you know, journalists are like I said, we're first responders. This is what we live for, and try to do every single day. We want to get the story. We want to be on the scene. So it's not that we would not send anybody. That's not the case.
Right.
It's just that we have to be aware and cautious. You know, we have to tell the journalists now, watch your back. And the reporter, I mean, and the photographers and the videographers, watch your back.
Well, take Lauren, for instance. Lauren is on Capitol Hill. She gets to stuff that a lot of journalists on Capitol Hill don't get to. She has sources that they don't have. They wish they had. You worry about protecting her. We've seen some amazing stuff come out of Lauren over the years. And so, you know, she's a Black journalist on Capitol Hill. Black woman at that. So there's this is really a page turner, a tide turner. They knew he was going to be in Los Angeles. He had been promoting being in Los Angeles for the Grammys. He was already cleared by a judge from any potential charges, it seemed. You know, like I said, a week or so ago, he had no reason to believe that his freedom was in imminent jeopardy. He was going to do his job. And covering a church situation where news was being made now gets you locked up.
Charges are a stretch. It's a stretch from what I've heard. Now, I haven't read any charging documents or anything like that, but it seems to be a stretch that he was engaged or participating in the protest. If having a microphone and asking a person a question who volunteers to answer your questions, not only your one question, but continues to answer the questions that you're asking, there's no force, right? So, I mean, it's the charges that are just, if they stick, then we have to worry. The arrest is not a good thing. If the charges stick and he's convicted of something that he did not do other than his job, then we really have a problem.
Yeah, well, as we all know, the pretense of the Trump administration is lying. I mean, they just sort of make things up. So it's kind of like they have, of course, imposed their political will on the Justice Department, on the FBI, on all of these arms of government in a brazenly political way, a brazenly retaliatory way, going after the Attorney General of New York, going after James Comey. I mean, this is just brazen. And so there's no reason to think that this case is going to be any different. Interestingly enough, one of the things that actually has been effective is judges and jurists that have stood in the way, several of whom were appointed by Trump or Republican presidents.
Exactly.
Because they understand what the Constitution says. I mean, it just says what it says. So this is a shocking moment. I mean, I just think that we know that the U.S. Senate is in session, and of course dealing with the shutdown deadline at midnight tonight. The House is out of session, but I'm telling you what, this is the moment. We've had several moments, of course, okay, but this is one of the clearest constitutional violations that we've seen from this administration. And if the reaction is not equal to this moment, you know, to quote Joe Madison, what are you going to do about it is where we're at right now.
Exactly.
I know Hakeem Jeffries is scheduled to address the media at 10:30. I presumably one of the things he's going to address is this situation. Greer, the producer at Let It Be Known, mentioned that Dr. Chavis is crafting his statement as we speak on behalf of the Black press. I would hope that, and I would imagine that Roland Martin is going to do the same for Black Star Network. I would hope that the Griot, Black owned, would do the same. I certainly, more importantly, or just as important, the NABJ. I'm hoping that they, and not just a statement. Somebody mentioned this too, a call to action, some sort of I've been saying this since the 2024 election, and this has been a real frustrating point for me, is to watch, and I know Trump and his administration continues to shuffle the deck on a regular basis, as Neil says, they call audibles constantly, but to have no plan, to watch Black organizations, including this one, the NNPA, that is, I should say, have absolutely no plan. To watch that is as frustrating as anything else, because you knew you had months. She lost the election in November, but so if you waited and thinking that she was going to win, that was faulty, number one. Not just simply because elections are elections, right? You never really know what's going to happen in an election. But if that was your thing, that she's going to win, okay, November came and she lost, so that means you had 2 months to put something in action, something together, right? Something tangible to say, this is what we're going to have to do, because they told you everything they were going to do. Project 2025 told you this. This is all a part of Project. It was no surprise. There's no surprises here. So for Black organizations, Denise called you and Misha Green, your managing editor, called a meeting after the election. Right. And I was so proud of you and Misha in that moment. And you said to all the staff, you let them all express themselves. And then you said something that you always have said, even without these type of crises: what's the plan? You said that, Denise. You said, if it's to be, like your father says, it's up to me. And the NNPA and other organizations, seemingly the NAACP, sat back and twiddled their thumbs trying to figure stuff out. No. If you can't figure anything out, then you got to step out the way. We need plans of action. We don't just need these church sermons, or that we tend to get our ears tickled by on a regular basis when it comes to Black organizations.
Denise,
put a plan of action.
Yeah, I think Stacey, I say this all the time. As you point the finger at NNPA, the other 3 or 4 are pointing back to us as the membership. And so I didn't see or hear that demand on that side from our board of directors or any of that to really have that conversation. And so I think that's a message that needs to be articulated in a way that all the membership can hear this. And despite the fact that we're all struggling, we still have a job to do. And I just wanted to remind you, and I don't know if Lauren may have been caught up in the same situation, but we did have a photographer who was at the January 6th event on Capitol Hill, who made his way into the building. Wow. And I would say the FBI, doing due diligence, contacted the photographer, just to figure out who this person was. And once they realized that he was a journalist, right, not a protester, they moved on. And so I understand the job that everybody has to do, but I don't understand the respect or the lack of respect now that journalists are getting, from this administration. That's the challenge that I have. And I agree. Go ahead,
that
Lauren.
Part I understand. But no, that part I do understand. They're trying to control the information, trying to control CBS. They're trying to control, they're buying TikTok. They is the sort of the MAGA regime, the wider MAGA regime that extends from Donald Trump. But no, what were you going to say, Denise? Go ahead.
No, I'm with Stacey. I think that we're if you're talking specifically about NNPA, that's about to celebrate its 200th anniversary in 2027. You know, the establishment of the Black press in 1827. I always say 30 some years or whatever the math is before, you know, slavery was abolished, you know, and so, you know, we once, you know, we're mission oriented, but also we're businesses. And that's where the challenge becomes, the challenge is because our staffs are so small and we're trying to, you know, keep folks paid to do the work that they do. But, you know, I just cannot overstate how those of us that went into this profession with heart, soul, with our feet, you know, both feet, you know, we are who we are. We love this business and we, you know, want to do it and we want to do it in the right way. I mean, of course, now some media, as we saw in Florida, you know, might characterize or what am I trying to say? Disrespect the way in which we do it because we do operate by a different set of values. You know, we are advocacy journalists, no question. And we don't, that whole, you know, unbiased journalism doesn't necessarily have a place in our newsrooms because we are biased. We want to look out for the rights and protect the rights of our people.
Right.
But you know, otherwise, we love this business, and so I don't know where I was going with that, but we have a whole history of being, you know, in the fight, right, and being the voices for those who are in the fight.
We see the model that happened after Jimmy Kimmel's incident. Obviously, the Lynn Jones situation. I think we should leverage this as much as we can to put attention on independent media, put attention on fundraising. You know, I'll be printing the free Don Lemon T-shirts this afternoon. There should be GoFundMe's being thrown up and the whole thing. We should leverage this as much as possible. Obvious frontal attack on the free press. Obviously, frontal attack on a friend of ours. All understood. It's bigger than him. He's going to get in there and say that. Of course, he's supposed to be on the air in 5 minutes, which of course he probably will not be. And then again at 5 o'clock today. But this is the attack on the free press that was so predictable because these people want to control what people find out about, what they know, and what Don was reporting on was exactly what they want to stop. Okay, he's exactly the model. It's him, Roland Martin, Joy Reid, Midas Touch, Contrarian, everybody, and NABJ and NNP, you know, NNPA, NABJ, and everybody else. I'm sure will be making a statement. Everybody's got to go further than that because this is past just making statements. There's got to be a plan. To your point, Stacey, these organizations have no plans in part because of their corporate connections. They're hamstrung by that. We've watched that with the NAACP to some extent with NUL. I do think Mark Morial, of all the leaders, at least was on the right footing at his convention. He declared a state of emergency last year.
Right.
That this convention is about a state of emergency. That was a lot more than we saw with CBCF and with NAACP. But we got to get out of business as usual mode. Go ahead, Denise.
No, I was going to say, I heard during Dr. King, this holiday celebrations, I heard a story I didn't know. You all probably know that when Dr. King was arrested in Birmingham and people were trying to get him out of jail, they wanted to bail him out. And he had started writing this letter and he was like, no, I can't leave until I finish this letter from a Birmingham jail. We might get that letter from Don King. Don, I don't know. I keep saying
Don Lemon.
I don't think we're going to get one from Don King, but anyway, but from Don Lemon. I mean, I'm hoping. I know that he if they give him a pen and paper, because they won't be. But I would love to hear that letter from Don Lemon.
Or Denise, as Les Lovett, one of Lauren's viewers, is noting, make sure to lift up Georgia Fort.
Yes, exactly.
She does not have the money or backing that Don has, and she definitely deserves the attention as much as anybody. And she's been on the front lines constantly, and she's been bringing these the stories from the very beginning. Don, I'm not taking anything away from Don Lemon. He joined in later. He came when he heard about the protest, so he came. She was there on the ground. From the beginning. She's an independent Black woman journalist.
I don't know much about Georgia.
Georgia's an independent Black journalist who's breaking a lot of stories out in Minneapolis and Minnesota area, and she has been, along with Nikema Levy Armstrong, have been the ones to get the information as to what's really happening in Minneapolis. And Don came in part as a result of their reporting. He went out to Minneapolis.
That's right.
Georgia is a great award-winning journalist. We throw that phrase around a lot. You know, when you're in this business a long time, you're going to get some sort of an award. We can all claim to be award-winning, right? But Georgia has won Emmys. You know, she's won the big prizes, right? Prizes I haven't won. So that's for sure. But she, you know, she's independent and she's a Black woman. And she has put herself on the line a lot. And when you get a chance, Lauren and Denise, go check out the video she posted. We showed it on Let It Be Known just a little while ago of her when the agents came to arrest her this morning. It's so infuriating, heart-wrenching, and you can only feel for. I don't know her personally. I know Neil and Greer knows her personally. I don't know her personally. We've had her on the show. She is a wonderful person to talk to, and you have to feel for her. So we want to make sure that whatever you like Lauren said, I'm pretty sure you'll see some GoFundMe's. Make sure that it's the right ones, folks. Make sure it's the right ones.
Right. Don't we have a Black newspaper in Minneapolis?
We have two. We have the Insight News and the Minneapolis. What's her, Padilla's paper? What's her name? You know who I'm talking about. Out in Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Okay.
We got two papers, y'all. Two papers. Trust me when I tell you. The Spokesman Recorder. And Georgia, right? Georgia has children as well, small children.
Wow.
So yeah. So when we're talking about Don Lemon, we can't talk about Don Lemon without talking about Georgia Ford.
Right. And others that we don't know about. I mean, and that's why, Lauren, when you do that Free Don Lemon, I hope the second line will say protect journalism or protect journalism or protect the free press or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm giving you words so I can buy your shirt.
Yeah, I mean, this reminds me of the 60s, and the 60s and the period where the Black Panthers were speaking out, doing certain things, and of course, suddenly, amazingly getting arrested. I mean, you know, this is how the government shuts people up. This is it.
We've seen this.
And so we will find out who is involved, who is arrested. Obviously, Don Lemon is the headline. We understand that.
I'm sorry, Lauren. She just shared the video with you, by the way, that we're talking about. So.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Yeah.
We will, you know, obviously monitor the other people. We understand that Don Lemon, of course, is a multimillionaire. So he's a huge advantage having Abby Lowell as his attorney. I suspect the other people will be assisted, although somehow on the left, unlike the right, these things happen a lot slower than they should. Okay. Which is strange to me because we do have players on the left that have huge amounts of money, and we understand that Donald Trump is in fact dangerous, not only for our democracy, but for individual people, as we've been seeing in Minnesota. So at any rate, while I get the video, I will, you know, somebody talk, Stacey.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at what somebody posted and it's so important. Fred, I can't read your last name, Guttenberg, I think it says, but he says today, Don Lemon is all of us. And again, I would interject Georgia Fort is all of us. He was arrested. She was arrested for the First Amendment rights. That means any of us can be arrested now because of who the current occupant of the White House is. He says, I am not surprised that this is happening. I blame every elected enabler in Congress for allowing this to happen. And so when we talk about the First Amendment, we obviously we think about journalism and journalists, us, but just people in general. This is about free speech. This means it goes outside of just us as journalists. You could be in a supermarket talking to someone and you say something that could be perceived to be negative toward the administration. You can be arrested. That's
Yeah,
what this means.
that's exactly what this means. I mean, that's exactly what this means. That's exactly what this is. This is him. This is Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and these fascists trying. That's what they are, fascists. They meet the definition. We said we have to stop playing around with these people. Like we played around in that first administration, the first 4 years of Trump. Remember, CNN got wrapped around the axle about whether or not we should use the word lie on the air. Well,
Yes.
facts, truth, and lies are definable. If something is not true, it is therefore a lie. Now here we are getting wrapped around the axle about whether or not we should say totalitarianism or fascism or this
Right.
or that. This is the thing about Don's show. They had broken through all of that. They, Jolly Ginger and everybody, they'd passed that a long time ago, playing around with these people. And playing around with these people is what has gotten us to this place. And just by the way, to report, Don Lemon show has thrown up their 10 a.m. notice. I don't know who the anchor is going to be. Maybe it's him. I don't know, but I do have an eye on that. Denise, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I got to jump, but I want to thank you for just giving me this opportunity. I had to get a lot of this off my chest, but it sounds like at least the three of us need to have a conversation on what our plan is. You know what I'm saying? I can't point fingers at other people if I haven't come up with that myself. At least a suggestion. If it is to be, is up to me, right, Stacey?
There
So
you go.
we'll talk some more about this and keep our eye on it. I want to thank, Let It Be Known, Lauren Live. I mean, what would we do without you? And I knew you all were on this. It just took me too long to catch up and see what you were doing. So this is the reason why we got to watch both of these programs and let's talk. Today, I don't
today,
know.
noon.
Anyway,
No, plug it. It's at noon today, folks.
yeah,
Let's talk Win TV.
We have a pre-recorded show today, so it may not hit the mark. But anyway, we'll keep it going. Y'all have a great one.
Thanks, Denise.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, it's it's we're in a moment, Lauren. We're in a moment.
Yeah.
And this is a moment that needs to be met.
This is it.
Like I said, Greer had mentioned that Dr. Chavis is crafting a statement. These statements have to be, first of all, they have to be really strong. And I'm not saying that Doc is not going to write a strong statement. That's his forte. But it has to be accompanied with some sort of, hey, and maybe not publicly, no, their plan of action doesn't have to be public, but have one.
Yeah. Well, if you can't put a strong statement out for this, you got to get out of the business. This is it. This is the moment. All the things that we talk about, what would we do if we were Harriet Tubman, and what would we do if we were in the 60s, and what I would have done in 1920. This is the moment.
Right.
To be doing things and saying things, protesting, speaking out. This is it.
So you bring up an interesting point. This is what I did in the 60s. This is what I did in the 70s and the 50s. Well, this is the 2020s. You might have to take a different approach.
How about
that? And so I don't think that many, especially the younger ones, they don't want to hear what you did in the 60s. They want to know what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Because the 60s was the 60s. That was the 60s. And I say that with all due respect to what they accomplished in the 1960s. But it was different in a lot of ways, including we were together in the 60s. We were together in the 50s. We were together in the 70s as a community.
Right.
We're not that now. That's why you see Snoop Dogg dancing the jig for the president, Nicki Minaj looking like the fool that, looking like a foolish person, around all these hateful people. That's why you see what we're seeing, the baby and all these characters. I tell you, I don't remember reading the history books or hearing my grandparents or parents tell me that there were those types in the 60s. We know in slavery you had Black folks complicit with the master, yes. But I don't hear the stories that's going to be told years from now about this moment and these moments, about how we had some Black entertainers. Because the stories I hear about Black entertainers in the 60s is if they didn't get involved, you didn't hear from them. they didn't take the side. They didn't go to the
Right.
other side, right?
Right.
But the
Right.
ones we heard, the Jesse Owens, the Muhammad Ali's, the Sidney Poitiers, they stood up. Even Bill Cosby, people like that, they talked about it.
Right.
Sammy Davis Jr., who claimed to be Jewish, I hate to say it that way, who said he was Jewish, he
Mhm.
still stood up, right?
Right.
Um, I don't remember hearing that there was these black stars in the '60s that stood with the governor of Alabama.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I actually think a lot of what we're seeing is purposeful distraction on the part of certain actors in the entertainment world. I mean, if you can keep a community distracted and not paying attention to what matters, you can conquer them. It's as simple as that. And to note what Mike said in the chat here, one of the most important albums of our era, "It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back," which to me, you want to talk about something that stands the test of time. When you listen to it now, it has even more relevance in a lot of ways. And I'm proud to say that Chuck D is following me on social media, which to me, when that happened, I felt like I had arrived. But that line, I got a letter from the government the other day, and I opened and read it, and they said they were suckers. Like that particular song, Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos, is in fact what we're watching right now. Right. And it was just that group, that era of rap and music, they were talking about politics. And then we got into sort of a gangster rap era that changed that. Then we got
Yep.
into sort of that 2 Live Crew era was in there. And then we never returned to the political era. And even on the rock and roll side, you see the same thing. Only Bruce Springsteen writing a
Oh
song that
gosh.
speaks to what just happened. We don't have anybody in rock and roll and very few rappers. Kendrick Lamar has probably come the closest. There's a few others, but basically no one talking about politics. No one talking about what's going on in the community. No one talking about what's really the thing. And if you go to the 60s, you see a bunch of groups talking about, and it's
Yeah.
pop, it's rap, it's rock and roll, it's everybody. And the famous fight between Berry Gordy and
Marvin Gaye.
I'm sorry. Yes, Marvin Gaye. Sorry. Marvin Gaye about what's going on. And Marvin
Yep.
Gaye wanted to do it and Barry didn't want to do it. We don't have those conversations now because they
Nope.
want the community to be distracted by nonsense. That's what
Yep.
it is. They
Yep.
want, we got Nicki Minaj. We got all sorts of nonsense going on while these people are destroying everything in the civil rights movement that was built over the last 60 years and they're destroying the money. That was the biggest target that they took from the beginning. And to your point, to NNPA having no plan, I'm not sure how you have no plan when on the first day of a presidency, you see a president put out an executive order that's saying they're going to
Right.
destroy all the
Right.
black money. That's what he did.
And he's followed through. Like,
Absolutely.
no surprise, because again, look who's behind it all. Who's the mastermind of it all, right? The folks at the Heritage Foundation and Stephen Miller as well. These folks, there's no so-called soft spot in them. There's no
Right.
so-called humanity. And with Trump seeing an opportunity, I think Trump's biggest thing is that he likes no one likes him, and he wants all the money possible. He's never going to be happy. And that's unfortunate for him that he'll never be happy. If I interviewed that man today, my one question for him really, and it would be one or two questions. I don't know that I would want to sit down and do a long form interview with him. But the question would be, Mr. President, you have everything. You have everything. Why are you so angry?
It is the defining trait of racists and white supremacists that they are never happy, no matter how dominant they are. Okay. I mean, this is something that is one of the biggest questions. I remember Joy Reid bringing up, why are you so angry? She actually did a video on TikTok trying to deal with that question. These people run the entire government. They're funneling billions of dollars to each other of our tax money mostly, right? So we're talking about billionaires and millionaires. They're creating fake ass government contracts so idiots like Donald Trump Jr. can get paid. Okay. And they've got it all happening and they're still not happy. They're in control of everything and they're still not happy because at the end of the day, what we're watching is we're watching a man, Donald Trump, who ended up running. And I remember, I grew up in New York, so he was all over the news all the freaking time. People would ask him, "Are you going to run for president? Are you going to run for president?" He doesn't run for president. The defining moment of his decision to run for president was that Barack Obama made fun of him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He got mad and in his little feelings, and then decided, I got to have what that black guy has that I don't have. That black guy has something that I don't have. Why does he have that and I don't have? Remember, it started.
Why does he have the Nobel Peace Prize and I don't?
Exactly. Remember, before the birther thing, there was this whole thing that Trump brought up about Barack Obama's grades in law school. How did he get into law school? Because you know what happened? Some idiot family member of Donald Trump can't get into Harvard. So now, oh my God, a black guy got into Harvard, then became president of the United States. We can't have that. And it's the same exact thing with this idiot Stephen Miller, one of the scariest individuals we've ever seen in public life. The man is a lunatic. That's what he is. He is a stark, raving lunatic. And I'm hoping that family of Mr. Preddy, of Alex Preddy, is going to sue his ass because they have a case for defamation that's pretty obvious. They've hired attorneys. But to get back to the point, these racists are jealous. They don't want other groups to have what they have. They don't want other groups to have the chance and the shot of what they have. That's what the repeal of affirmative action was about. And, it's so amazing. I was thinking the other day, it's not like these campuses are overrun with black people.
They're not.
You count on two hands the number of black people sitting up at Yale and Harvard, and they want zero. They want there to be zero black because they understand that what that means is that black student is going to go off and make six figures and have kids, and they're going to go off and make six figures, and we can't have that. The jealousy of these racists is unmatched, and it is crazy because they do have everything, and that is my rant. Go ahead, Stacey.
Well, I mean, I was enjoying it. But back to again Georgia Fort. We can't lose sight of, and I'm really hoping that Don Lemon, I know it's a tough moment for him. It's got to be tough to think about anybody other than yourself when you're in a situation like that. But I'm hoping that, and he'll be bonded out obviously at some point. But I'm hoping that with all the resources he has, understanding the lack of resources Georgia Fort and the others have, that he reaches out and offers to, I'm just going to be blunt about it, offers to help pay, or if not pay, their bills, their legal bills.
Right.
Share the lawyer that he has. Assume Don Lemon is a very wealthy man.
Right.
He's married to a very wealthy individual.
Right.
As well. And again, I never presume how to tell people how to spend their money. But in this instance, because of the situation, because you really, and I'm not blaming Don Lemon, I don't want it to come off that way, but it was your presence that really pissed off this administration, right? You were doing your job, and we applaud you for it. Busta Rhymes posted a video just last night with him and Don Lemon, and Busta saying we have to protect Don Lemon at all costs. This is Busta Rhymes, right?
That's right.
And so Don, with great power comes great responsibility, and that responsibility also should be covering Georgia Fort.
I bet Don is going to cover Georgia Fort when he gets back on the air. No disrespect. Thanks a lot. Let's love it for the video and paying attention to all of that. I'm not in any way trying to ignore Georgia Fort. I wasn't even up on that. Denise informed me live on the air that Georgia Fort was arrested. So I'm shocked to hear that. I'm still processing the fact that Georgia Fort was arrested. So I'm not going to even process anything else right now because in my next live, I'll probably do something on her. But the point is that you're right. Hopefully she will get free pro bono legal help. I think she will. And because there's some law firms that are being set up just for this type of thing. We've got immigration firms being set up. We've got these violating, these firms that are focused now specifically on the violations of the Trump administration. So she should be assisted. And if she's not, hopefully the GoFundMe will hit $1 million, So either way, she should get what she needs. But this is the moment. I mean, I can't, I cannot say it enough. Like, this is the moment where if you are not alerted to this, and I think certainly I cannot wait to hear from Roland Martin at 6:00 as usual. He's the other one. So Don and Roland Martin are over 1 million in subs. So when you're over 1 million subs, talking to hundreds of thousands of people, and then have videos up that hundreds of thousands of people have watched, this administration is going to target you. I don't blame him at all for what happened at the church. He was covering the church, and they had no business. This administration, they're such liars. And of course, they have state-run media and Fox News backing up their lies. So they have the ecosystem of their liars backing up their nonsense, right? And then I've got to explain to my friends, you are being lied to. Because they see an anchor desk, they see a logo that says Fox on it, and they believe it. They believe what these people are saying when they are straight up lying. So Don had every right to cover the church. Don had every right to go to Minnesota. Absolutely unheard of under the law for any journalist to be arrested in this type of situation. And I love his show, by the way. And in fact, my little show, Lauren Live, is really a copy off of his name, because that Lauren Live and Lemon Live, I love the Lemon Live. I love the whole thing. You were there that day.
I remember. I was there.
Talking to Don at CBC Week, and So my point is, though, that this is outrageous. It cannot be tolerated. It must be protested. It must be not just spoken out against, not just putting out press releases. There has got to be more than that, a lot more than that. I know people, once upon a time were afraid to say the word boycott. We got to be unafraid to say these things and to move forward. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, without question. Yeah, I think you said it all. And folks, just keep mindful of all of this, because this is, as I said earlier, it's not just about journalists. This is simply about your right to be able to say whatever you want, wherever you want, and whenever you want.
That's right. That's exactly right. And as we go off here, I'm just going to take a peek at Don's channel to see what's going on. Oh, they have Monique on. So I had a feeling they'd have a substitute anchor, which makes sense. I'm not going to play a lot of this.
I'm posting this morning for our friend, our brother, our journalist, who we all have been able to count on for the past 3 decades, Don Lemon. Guys, that I'm here with you frequently and often. And one of the things that we always talk about is the importance of independent media. We talk about how much it's necessary for us to support those who are out doing the work every single day. And
and so Stacey, you know what she's going to say. She's going to say what needs to be said. Again, I don't want to run too much of the show because I will get a copyright strike. And YouTube lately has been quite good at copyright strikes. So which is fair. And so, obviously Don is probably still locked up. I think you brought on your show this morning, right before we go off here, about the on Let It Be Known. You mentioned, somebody else mentioned in my signal, they could keep him over the weekend. The little trick of,
we talked about that. Yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, here's a statement from the Reverend Al Sharpton. Don Lemon's arrest is alarming at several levels, starting with the sledgehammer Donald Trump just took to the knees of the First Amendment. Don has spent the last decade calling out the lies or the destructive policies of President Trump, who no doubt was waiting for the right moment to use his weaponized Justice Department against him. Don spoke of this need to hold truth to power at the NAN convention last year, and that is exactly what he was doing while covering protests in Minneapolis. I stand with Don, every member of the media, and every person who non-violently protests these horrific ICE raids. We cannot let Donald Trump put tape over our mouths to muffle our right to free speech when his administration is conducting some of the most heinous actions in American history. NAN will continue to call those out no matter what. So that's the statement from Al Sharpton. Mayor Karen Bass has issued a statement on behalf of or about Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. She says Don Lemon, an internationally known and renowned journalist and friend, was arrested last night by federal agents and is now in custody in Los Angeles simply for doing his job and following a protest into a church in Minneapolis while reporting the story. Emmy-winning news producer and Minnesota-based journalist Georgia Fort, another widely respected Black journalist, was also arrested by federal agents in Minnesota for reporting on the same protest. The arrest of journalists for going into a church in the course of reporting is shocking enough. But what's even more alarming is that it's no secret that Don Lemon is a Trump critic. Let me be clear. President Trump is not de-escalating anything after the fatal shooting of U.S. citizens by federal agents. In fact, the arrest of Don Lemon and Georgia Fort demonstrates quite the opposite. He is escalating. And so that's the Mayor Karen Bass. And if you indulge me for one more statement, Maya Wiley, President and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, says that no one ever wants a government shutdown. She decries the killing of human beings by, quote, federal agents in American cities, including the recent killings in Minneapolis. She says the abuses also extend to efforts to block state and local leaders and law enforcers from protecting residents, and the abuse goes to the First Amendment, obviously referencing the Don Lemon and Georgia Fort and others arrest.
Wow. And I'm sure we will have a day of statements.
Yeah.
And we will have a day, I think, of people rethinking a more forward strategy against this authoritarian rise in the United States as brought on by the Trump regime. Because we got to get into some things here that are a little bit more into affecting their money, just like they've affected ours. The boycott idea, you see the national strike idea with regard to Minneapolis. They're trying to do that again today. And so that is where I think this is headed. Good for Al Sharpton getting that out very quickly, and I'm sure we'll see statements, but we got to see more than statements. There's got to be some activity here. I mean, now you're arresting journalists because you want them to shut up, really? And so this was inevitable to me. This was very predictable. But still, even when things are predictable, it's like when somebody dies and they've been sick for a long time. It's still shocking when it happens. I don't care.
Yeah, it's unsettling, right? It's absolutely unsettling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, I'm going to go now and watch Don's show and watch Joy Reid. She's up on a special emergency breaking news live as well. You got anything else? I mean, I could stay on all day, but go ahead.
No, that'll do it for now, folks. Lauren, I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
No problem. And Stacey Brown, this is an amazing moment, something that I didn't think that we would be talking about as soon as we were. But like I mean, this was predictable. Everybody be watching Let It Be Known on Monday morning at 8 a.m. And be watching Lauren Live. I will be back probably a little bit later tonight with another live as the developments require. Thanks a lot, Stacey.
Somewhere. What's going on? Thank you. Are you watching now?
Yeah. No, I was watching when I left, but it's excellent. I love it. I love the traffic's blowing up. You were in Brooklyn last night. Where?
I was in Bushwick.
Okay, my grandmother's house is in Crown Heights.
Oh, yeah.
So when I saw you, I was trying to look at what the pizza place was to see where
as soon as we got there, someone recognized the pizza place. They're like, we got to get out of here. Someone had
get out. It was great.
blown up our spot.
This show was freaking fantastic.
Thank you.
Love it. Love it, man. Love it.